You are a very quiet audience tonight. Give me a second. I'm going to give myself a timer because normally I talk for an hour or 5 hours or a whole day, and you don't want me to do that today. Kelly said it's 20 minutes, and I thought, yeah, right, sure. She's going to wave her arm wildly to stop me about 5 minutes before, so that she's not having an epileptic seizure or anything. I am thrilled to be with you all. This was such an honor. When Kelly first met with me up in Cedar Falls, she called out of the clear blue sky. I didn't know her. And I thought, who is this odd woman? And she wanted to have lunch or coffee with me and drive all the way from Solon up to Cedar Falls. And I did it. Back then, I wasn't doing a whole lot of face-to-face stuff. I was recently married and trying to get my life together and keep my business going and dealing with my stepdaughter's panic attacks. And it was just a challenge for me to leave the house even. And I thought, no, I want to meet this woman. And it was such an amazing time. One thing is we were going to meet at a restaurant that wasn't even open. But we ran across the street, sat down, had a quick lunch, and then just started talking. And I don't know where the time went. We were there for a long time and just shared our hearts and connected immediately. And I knew that this is a woman who's going places and has already been places and had so much depth of wisdom to share. And she invited me to do an event at her home. And if you ever get a chance to do porch time with Kelly, go. Just go. They have this beautiful, is it Lake McBride? You just breathe. It's just marvelous. She's such a gracious hostess, so this is beautiful. But she also then later called me and said, I'm doing something. I want to do an event. I think I'm going to call it Women, it moved, Women Honoring Innovation and Passion. And I thought, whip. Ooh. I just wasn't quite sure about the whip. My husband's a rabid rock fan. We go to lots and lots of concerts. And I immediately thought of Devo, whip it good. No, that's not the image I want to have, sorry. Getting a little more serious, right after she called and started the ball rolling for me to do the keynote today, I was thinking, what do I really want to share? And there's just so much that has changed in my life over the course of the last really 5-6 years. And she said, let's talk about passion. I said, that's an easy one for me. But it wasn't easy. When you have such a wealth of richness that's going on in your life, it's hard to especially carve it down to 20 minutes. But then, 2 weeks ago, something happened, and it was like, there's my opener. You all know what happened. There was a video that went viral, and everyone was talking about it. It was on all the news feeds. All the magazines were talking about it. Magazines as diverse as Christianity Today and Sports Illustrated had articles on it. My Twitter feed blew up with hashtags like, why I stayed and why I left. And I'm talking, of course, about the Ray Rice video. And we saw evidence of this man and wife beating on each other in an elevator where she eventually ended up getting knocked out and dragged unconscious out of this elevator. And I was horrified. What some of you might not know is the same week, the CDC came out with their statistics on violence against women in this country. And 1 out of 4 women are suffering from some kind of violence or abuse. 75% of those women, that abuse is coming from someone that they should be able to trust. A husband, a father, a lover, a brother. And that horrifies me on a couple of different levels, partly because 21 years ago, I left that kind of relationship. And that Twitter hashtag, why I stayed, I couldn't respond to that one because it's far too complicated, not just for 140 characters, but for 140 pages. I could fill 140 books to talk to you about this complication of why I stayed for 10 years in a roller coaster marriage that went from deep, deep, dark depression to raging anger and threatened my life. Even after I left, I was stalked for 7 more years, and it's really why I ended up in Iowa. I lied for years and said it was because my family moved here. It was a partial truth. But really the reason I moved was that the DA in Oakland, California said, we can't protect you anymore. Move. And so I did, and then I found out, thank God, that Iowa has the best anti-stalking laws in the country. And it was like, I'm safe. I can breathe. But my journey didn't end there. It was just getting started. And my path to passion, I thought I was a pretty passionate person. I was fairly successful. I'd achieved some degrees. I was doing great work in California clinically. And it was like, okay, what's next? What mountain do I need to climb next? And it took me so long to find it because I was in depression. It's so hard to push through. I have a friend who got up today after a horrible illness and got up today and came. She showed up, she pushed through, and that's sometimes what we have to do. We are women honoring innovation and passion. And sometimes that's so hard to just pull yourself up by the bootstraps and honor the passion that's in your heart, and then fan those flames, right? So I want to talk today about how the extraordinary power of passion can change your life. Because I went from homeless and beaten down and having my life threatened. I was the best dressed woman, homeless woman in San Francisco, I have to tell you. All my clothes were in a suitcase in my car, and I'd go to the gas station, clean up, and go to my corporate job in San Francisco. That's how I lived for a while. How did I go from that to now I own a home? Now I'm happily married. I have a great little dog. We travel all over the place, going to more rock concerts than anybody ever should go to. And I get to speak at events like this and work with clients who just are so inspiring to me. How did I get here? And how am I going where I'm going? Because this isn't the end, right? I'm just getting started. How did my life change so dramatically? And how can yours? I'm going to tell you three things, three choices that you have to make. And ladies, I'm going to be real with you. And gentlemen, we have some great guys here too, brave souls. And I'm going to tell you there's three choices you have to make, not once and for all. There's three choices that you have to make every single day. Some days I have to make them hourly. So let me tell you about the first choice, and that is choose the vision for your life. I believe that you have desires in your heart that were planted there for a purpose. They're breadcrumbs that lead you to the big picture, the purpose, the passion, the meaning, and follow those desires. You know, I was raised in a culture in a very conservative church that taught the heart is deceitfully wicked, no man can know it. And it's like, no. Especially if I really believe the rest of the faith story that they tell me is I'm supposed to have been cleaned from all that sin, right? So what do I mean? I can't trust my heart. Yes, I can. My heart tells me what I want, and what makes my heart sing actually makes my life better. And so if I listen to those passions inside my heart and I choose the vision for my life based on those passions, all of a sudden the clouds start rolling away. I start getting it. I can step forward and trust that vision. And it's so important because then every time I'm faced with a choice, a decision, or an opportunity, I choose in favor of my passions. I chose to be here today instead of sitting at home, you know, doing whatever it is I do at home, because I'm passionate about talking to women. Tomorrow I'm choosing to be home because I'm passionate about my husband and my dog. Every moment, every day, I'm making decisions. Simple ones. Do I put on my tennis shoes or my bedroom slippers? I have a passion to look and feel fabulous all the time. And if I want to do that, I've got to exercise and go out for a walk and put my tennis shoes on. I have a passion for feeling healthy. I overcame some huge health obstacles a number of years ago, and the way it happened was I don't eat fast food anymore. I don't eat processed food anymore because I can't do it and not have inflammation in my body. And so I choose in favor of my passion of feeling great all the time. Is this making sense to you? Raise your hand and say yes if you're getting it. You're just so quiet. Oh, that was so pitiful. Do you believe me? Yes. Okay, thank you. I'm kind of Baptist-costal if you didn't get that already. I am giving you now hereby a permission slip to choose in favor of your passions, because that's what I needed. I needed permission. I came from this dark, kind of legalistic, judgmental church culture and a military family and an obsessive-compulsive mother. And so it was lots of rules and lots of structures, and my mom loves me, but there was just some expectations all the time of how I was supposed to look and act and behave. And let's face it, ladies, I'm not neat and tidy. There's an organizer sitting right next to me. My book table's a mess. And you know what? That's okay. It's who I am, and I have permission to pursue my passion. Rather than cleaning my house, I can hire somebody and do it, and pursue my passion, do the work that I was called to do. Nod your head up and down. Is this making sense to you? Yes. Give yourself permission to choose the vision for your life. The second thing I want you to do is choose how you're going to show up. Because what's so incredibly important is every moment of every day to just show up. Show up. Get up and smile at yourself in the mirror, even if you've had a really bad night's sleep. Even if your husband kept you awake snoring all night. Even if the dog bit you on his way out the door. Whatever it is that happened, the small things or the big things. If you had a crash in your business or a health crisis, you can still get up and find something to make you realize that I'm here. I'm here. And that is a good thing. I'm here for a reason. I'm here to make a difference. If you don't show up, the person whose life you are supposed to influence and transform and change is being ripped off. Think about it. Every single one of you got 6 degrees of separation. Think of all the people that you touch. Even if you live alone, you're touching people. Your mailman is touched by you. Someone is being influenced by you. And if you're not showing up every single day, you're ripping off the people who need you so desperately. All of us influence. There was one woman, I don't even know her name, but when I was homeless and trying to escape this horrible man who was stalking me and making me fearful for my life, she tapped on the window of my car and she went, "You slept here, didn't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." And she went, "Are you hungry?" And I said, "Kind of." She said, "Let me bring you a muffin." Do you think that lady changed my life? It makes me puddly to think about her. She doesn't know my name. Does she remember me? I doubt it. She probably does muffins for people all the time. But that was a transformative moment because I was able to get up and show up for the people who needed me that day. Even in my situation, no matter how dark things are, people need you and they need you to show up. There's an old story about a young man and old wise man who are talking, and the young man says to the old man, I feel so conflicted. And the old man says, yes, there's 2 wolves inside of us. And one wolf is good and kind and tender and trusting and loving and compassionate. And the other wolf is evil and vicious and vile, angry. And the 2 wolves are constantly at war with one another. And the young man said, well, which wolf is going to win? And the older man said, the one that you feed. When you show up, make sure that you are feeding the right wolf in your life. Make sure that as you show up every day, that you're showing up for things like this that feed your soul, so that you have the fuel that you need to show up in a way that's healthy and whole and warm. When you're feeding the right wolf, it's so incredibly important that you have a daily practice. I teach my clients 5 gratitudes every single morning, and then 5 things that you're handing off because you can't carry them, and then 5 things that you anticipate being grateful for. And I've had clients do this on a regular basis, day after day after day, and be pulled out of dark depression and anxiety disorders. And I'm not working as a therapist anymore. That's just a simple tool I use as a coach with my clients, and I'm giving it to you because it transformed my life as well. Feed the right wolf in your life. Sometimes when you show up, you think, well, I'm not this big, huge speaker. I don't have a PhD. I don't have this, that, or the other thing. I have a client named Mary. She's a secretary. Her company hired me to work with her. And I thought it's kind of odd because I normally work with executives, but as they explained to me the situation, I thought, yeah, I'd love to work with Mary. She sounded like a delightful person, and they saw her as a trusted, valued employee. She'd been there for like 36 years. And as I got to know Mary, she kept referring to herself as just a secretary. And I said, Mary, no one's just an anything. And she went, no, you're getting me wrong. I'm not diminishing what I am or who I am. I am a secretary. I'm the one behind the CEO of this company. I'm the one that, and she started sharing all the things that she had done to make this company great. And it hit me. Sometimes you're small. And it's okay. Maybe you're small like a tiny violet diamond. It's exquisite and expensive and beautiful. Sometimes you're small like a little drop of nitroglycerin, right? Sometimes you're small like this little yappy dog that chases the Great Dane out of the yard. It doesn't matter being small. Be who you are, because sometimes small is really huge. Sometimes small is all you've got. The gift that you have. When I was first starting my business, I didn't have money to give, and I feel that giving is a huge value for me and something I need to do just for myself. And so what I did is I went and mentored people here in Cedar Rapids called the House of Hope, and I gave away my time instead of my money. And guess what happened? Transformed my life. The personal healing, I call it soul surgery. It's like they opened me up, scrubbed me with steel wool, and then sewed me up back together again. When we give, we get so much back. I felt so small at that point in time, but I left feeling huge. My heart had grown huge and open to where I recognized I have something to give, no matter how wounded, how desperate I am. So don't tell me that you're too small to show up, because you're not. The third thing I want you to choose is to choose your companions. The people who walk with you in your life. And who's the one person who always is with you? Any guesses? Yourself. Your thoughts. Choose your thoughts. Ingrid Silva is somebody I discovered on Facebook. And Ingrid is a ballerina who's just exquisite. And this is a quote from her, and it says, "All that we are is the result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. What we think, we become." It's incredibly true. Ingrid was a little black girl who had a dream to be a dancer. And when she was growing up, there weren't black ballerinas. Now Ingrid is part of a school, and I looked online and saw their little recital, and they had 60 little girls of color dancing in their tutus. Ingrid has started something amazing, but even more than that, she's dancing with the Alvin Ailey Dance Company. She's incredibly beautiful, and she's doing photo shoots in weird places like subways, introducing the culture of ballet to people who would never go. She's a life changer. Just by looking at that form, I'm just so inspired at how beautiful she is. She knows that our thoughts become who we are. So choose your thoughts wisely. Put a gatekeeper over your mind and have them look, does this thought get to come in or not? Choose your thoughts. Change your thoughts. If you're struggling with your thoughts, my book, little sales pitch here, but my book is in the back, and it's called Your Belief Quotient, and it helps people change their beliefs and their thinking. And if that's helpful to you, please come, because it's at a reduced cost here at the conference. But I'm not pushing books here. What I'm pushing is this need for us to change the way we think. The other companion that I want you to think about is who is walking with you on this journey. Who do you have in your life? See, part of my problem is staying married to that man for almost 10 years was I didn't think I could leave that relationship. I believed that I wasn't enough. I believed that I couldn't make it financially. I believed that I had done something to deserve this. I believed that I couldn't do it on my own. And the thing is, I did a whole lot more. I left that relationship, and the doors flew open for me to create a life of joy and satisfaction and contribution. And you can too. Choose your companions. Build walls around yourself, not so high that nobody can get in, but just high enough that you get to choose. Put a door in that wall and let the right people come into your life. You can say no, and it's a complete sentence. No explanations necessary. Choose your companions wisely. And then choose to be infused with the light of the divine. I don't care what spiritual path you're on, but there is a light inside of you. I did some research for another conference that I spoke at. They wanted me to talk about inspiration. And I looked at the root word, and it comes from the Greek, entheos, in God. It's from the same word of like enthusiasm. When we are entheos, when we are infused with divine light, we're totally different people. You know this to be true of yourself. You can be filled with this light and choose to walk in it every single day, and it'll transform you. I ask you to make those 3 choices, to choose your vision, to choose to show up, to choose your companions. Abraham Lincoln said, "I'm not bound to win, but I'm bound to be true. I'm not bound to succeed, but I am bound to live up to the light that I have." You don't know it all. None of us do. None of us have all of the light or all of the answers. Heck, I don't even have all of the questions. But what I do have is this little tiny spark, and I've been working on fanning that flame in my life. And let me tell you, it's just turning into a firecracker. It's an amazing experience, and I wish for it for you as well. Thank you for listening.